When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you. And we'll stop right there. How's it going? Well, in light of the Snow White remake coming out, for better or for worse, I'll let you take your pick. I'll I plan to review that another time. But for now, let's talk about Disney remakes in general, and let's actually rank them. So, um today we'll be doing a tier list. I know a lot of people have already done that before, but I'd like to do one for myself as well. So let's see. We're going to create the tier list. All right. And let's see. I don't know if we have all the Disney remakes, but well, we've got the ones that we got so far. And we're going to be ranking them from one will be my favorite. We've got great, good slash okay, mildly bad, one for the absolute worst, and the others for which I've not seen. Maybe there will be one or two that I think is the worst. So where should we start for now? Okay, 101 Dalmatians. So I actually think this is a great movie. I had fun with it. And of course, Glenn Close is at the heart of making it so much fun and hilarious. And I actually did not mind that the dogs don't talk because sometimes you just got to read into the emotions or read into what's going on. And the humans got a little bit more development in the story. Also, rest in peace to, gosh, I forgot her name. I basically the Mrs. Olivia, the Mrs. Lawrence Olivia, um, Olivier. I mean, sorry. I gotta look up her name again. Sorry. Um, Joan Plowright. I'm sorry. So rest in peace, Joan Plowright. So, where are we gonna put the 101 Dalmatians remake? I would put it at great, actually, because Disney was trying something new at the time. Disney remakes um, they were not their usual norm. So one will catch them a break, and also I felt the effort in this one, and I actually liked that Cruella Deville was basically a designer. And how come I'm the only one who's ever made Deville wears Prada jokes? Come on, people. Honest trailers, you could have gone for that also. Seriously, honest trailers. Okay, enough with that. What do I think of the next one? 102 Dalmatians. Unfortunately, I have not seen that. Okay, people, tell me in the comments. Am I missing something, or is it better to miss out on it? Um, I'll let you guys decide. Okay, and Aladdin. Honestly, I did not think this movie was that bad. I was highly skeptical of this movie. Like seriously skeptical. This movie came out 5 years after Robin Williams' passing, and I was not sure what they were going to do, if they were going to just try to copy him. And let's be honest, nobody in the whole wide world could ever ever copy Robin Williams or actually be Robin Williams. You can copy his routines, you can copy what he does, but nobody will ever have a mind or a spirit like Robin Williams did. And thankfully, Will Smith actually did not have that bad um of a spin on his genie. So kudos for that. As for the rest of the story, I liked that Jasmine was a lot more interesting as a character. I mean, she was interesting in the first, I mean, in the original movie, but well, let's be fair, she goes back to the life that she wanted to escape from and just stays there and doesn't really do anything much. I mean, it was Aladdin's story, to be fair, and if you called this movie Jasmine, then that would make a lot more sense. But I liked Jasmine, I liked the actress, and the guy playing Aladdin, he looks and sounds exactly eerily like the original Aladdin, and I like him. What I did not like was Jafar. I mean, if you had to tell me which, if you had to ask me for a few elements that were better in the original, Jafar would be number one. Jafar would be the number one thing that was better from the original. Whereas the genie, I would call apples and oranges on that one. But yeah, um, I I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was a good one. I had a great time watching it. So I'm gonna put it at. I mean, I might fix it later, perhaps. I'm just gonna put it at great. A little bit behind 101 Dalmatians. Maybe I'll change my mind. We come to Alice in Wonderland, the remake that kind of started everything, started the snowball roll of remakes after remakes. So what do I think of it? I have a guilty pleasure with it. I have a guilty pleasure. I I love that music. You cannot go wrong with that music. It's Danny Elfman. And um well, how do I put it? I even if the characters are completely different from what the original was, I think it's okay at best. I mean, it is true that it makes no sense that Wonderland would be a wartime zone movie, um, and that the colors are completely devoid in Wonderland, and the fact that it's called Underland, not Wonderland, it makes even less sense. But I did like the art design. I like the characters, and but I don't like the story involved in it. I wanted it to do what Christopher Robin later did, which was um grow up with the character and have the character return to, well, have Alice return to her childhood, rediscover her childhood, and carry that into adulthood with her. I wanted that kind of story. I thought I was going to get that story, not a chosen one story. That was the weakest thing about this movie. So, where do I put it? I mean, because I really do like this movie. Am I gonna put it on good slash okay or mildly bad? Mm, Um, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. We'll put mildly bad. And for the record, when I say mildly bad, I don't mean the worst of the worst. I just mean could have been better. Not that great. Not awful either. I don't think it's awful. I think it has a lot of elements that weren't that good, but I but I did enjoy it. I like this one, which is more than what I could say for the sequel. Yep, that immediately goes into the worst category because what the heck is it? I mean, this is not Alice in Wonderland, and for goodness sake, she nearly causes the end of the world. Why? Because the Hatter's sad. So it's his dang fault. Well, actually, it's really her dang fault. Like, you called Alice from one world to another just because the Hatter's sad. Your whole world depends on the Hatter being happy. Weak. I mean, why not just have Alice explore Wonderland? Or again, return to childhood. She's growing up. And needs to remember that childhood is just as important as adulthood. I Maybe the Hatter brings her into that. Or heck, I mean, I do like time. I mean, I do like the character of time. And also, ah, I swear, the the queens in there. I mean, I kind of like the White Queen, but oh my gosh, this made me not like her. I that made me like her even less than the Red Queen because they're both jerks. They're both awful in this. Everybody's awful in here except for Time. I mean, except for the Time character. I literally everybody is unlikable in this one. Okay, let's just move on. Beauty and the Beast. The first shot for shot remake that we got in 2017. And well, one of the reasons I had fun with it was because I went to the movie theater dressed up as Belle and and a lot of and I actually went walking to the movie theater looking exactly like her. And people were turned their heads quickly and they're like, "Is this really happening?" Let me see if I can find a photo real quick. I sorry. Oh, I I I had a blast. Um um oh, okay. There we go. Oh, bingo. Okay, so let's share the screen on here. If I can um I I okay. So I'll get rid of that for a brief moment and um share screen with this. Just for a moment. Yep, that's how I looked. I walked to the theater looking like that. And um, let's go back to the let's go back to the shared screen for the live action tier. So, as for the movie itself, I knew it was going to be a shot for shot remake because really, what more can you do with Beauty and the Beast? How can you change much? I mean, I like that they had have a fix the plot hole of how does nobody know that there's a prince in the kingdom. Okay, I actually like that. And I even liked that that the servants had a life outside of the castle and and the fairy cursed the families to forget them. Oh, on the one hand that's kind of twisted, but on the other hand, I think it's an interesting plot thread. So I'm just gonna put it in the good okay category. Christopher Robin. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Where do you go? You go to one of my favorites. Technically, this is not exactly a remake, but Christopher Robin. I mean, again, this did what Alice in Wonderland should have done. I, the kid grows up, forgets, in his case, I forgets his childhood, becomes consumed with his job, and, and his childhood comes calling back to him, beckoning him home. I mean, is this movie cliched? Of course it is. I mean, like, seriously, of course it is cliched. I knew it was going to be. I knew this was going to have a hook tie-in. I and I and some part of my mind was going, "This is so cliched. Stop it!" But another part of me was going, "You love this, you love this, you absolutely love this," and just consumed the critic in me because I just loved the idea of this so much. I love what Christopher Robin did, and I love that it did not taint any of the characters. I I really felt like that the characters were there. The only couple flaws I had is one, was this in 3D? Because this movie looks a little creepy to be in 3D. I mean, a few things don't work for 3D. I should rephrase the creepy part. I the stuffed animals just don't look like they would fit for 3D. And on top of that, speaking of the animals, the only characters that actually sounded like the characters were Winnie the Pooh, of course, Tigger, and Eeyore. Everybody else, I mean, well, Piglet was a little bit in the middle. I mean, he fluctuated a bit, but everybody else, I mean, they did not sound like the characters. Rabbit did not sound like Rabbit at all. Like, if I closed my eyes and you told me that that was Rabbit, I'd be like, no, Rabbit does not sound like that. But the actors did their best. I like these actors. And I love that they got Jim Cummings, and I love that he's getting the recognition he deserves as these characters. Well, specifically as Winnie the Pooh and Tigger. And the guy who did Eeyore was spot on. I like him. And I had to restrain a fun fact, I had to restrain myself from cheering in the theater as soon as Tigger burst out singing the wonderful thing about Tiggers. So yeah, I mean, I will say though that if you're looking for an accurate depiction of the real Christopher Robin Mill, you're not going to get this here. This is a fantasy, and I like it. I like it for what it is. And okay, time to move on. Cinderella. Gee, I wonder where this one goes. We are gonna put this in front of Aladdin. I this I this remake set the standard for what I think remakes should be. A bright, colorful, a different take on the story while still keeping to the themes of it. I I could look at all these dresses all day and not get bored. I mean, I love what they do. I love how these dresses look. And controversially, I actually like Cinderella's ball gown here better than I do in the animated movie. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I guess it's because I've seen the animated movie dress too many times and it's grown old on me, though it is very pretty. It's very pretty. And I'm not really a fan of the hairstyle in that one, but again, she's very pretty. And well, a lot of people love that hairstyle, but I love this. I love the dress so bright and colorful, the butterflies on the collar and um well, her hair I partially in a bun and looking very pretty and those glass slippers look a crystal clear, gorgeous and I every costume just looks phenomenal. And well, it looks like a fairy tale environment that I would love to live in. And on top of that, this movie did something right that the animated movie did wrong. The prince is interesting. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! Because I'm sorry, I never found that prince in the animated movie interesting whatsoever, except maybe in the third movie. But if we're not counting the sequels, then the prince in the very first movie is dull, boring, does absolutely nothing that I can remember other than yawning and dancing. I mean, I mean, this has the prince actually meet Cinderella and even dedicates time to showing the prince who is destined to one day become king. So, yeah, I love this movie for the prince and for the dresses and for most of what they do with the plot. The only thing I'm not fond of is that they do make Cinderella passive. Yeah, when she's locked in her room, she doesn't even try to get out. In the original movie, she actually did try to get out. I mean, it was futile, and she had to have help from the mice, but she did try to get out and cried out to be let out. This one, she does nothing but spins around like Princess Peach. But otherwise, I think that it's a great movie. It's fun, and this is what Disney remakes should have done for a while, and should still do. Dumbo. Um, this is tricky. Before I rank this one, I will say that I think that this movie is not as terrible as most people think. I mean, the main things I did not like were the kid actors, mainly the girl. I this is I think this is more Tim Burton's fault for not directing her well. He didn't direct either of the kids well in this one. So her reading sounds just as bad as the kids in The Last Airbender, and I feel bad for her on that. And for the record, I hope she redeems herself in How to Train Your Dragon. I say what you will about it, but well, I'm pretty sure that she could be a good actress now that she's grown up. Let's see how she does as a grown up. I so hopefully she does well in that. The other thing was the last third act. I mean, I thought it was stupid what they did with the ending. I mean, I did not like that they were that they completely nuked the circus story and decided to just I be like, let's make PETA happy. Stop trying to please everybody. I and especially PETA. I Because at this point, PETA's a public embarrassment towards anything, as I like to call them. Hmm. But anyways, what did I like about it? Almost everything else. I liked the idea of. I mean, ever since I was a kid and saw the original, I often wondered, okay, what's the circus going to do with the idea of a flying elephant? I wanted to see them do more with this, and this movie does more with that. And I say kudos for that. And on top of that, the humans are actually pretty interesting as well. I I liked um I like the veteran who's supposed to connect with Dumbo, and they both have similar situations. Dumbo has big ears and cannot fit in, and the circus worker has lost an arm to World War II and cannot fit in with the circus like he used to. So they're both outcasts together and can relate to each other. And through the kids, they do. I just love it. So it's not I don't think it's terrible as people say, but I don't think it's the best either. So, mm, where do I put this? I Oh, come on. Okay, so am I gonna put it between mildly bad or okay slash good? Uh, we'll just put it behind Beauty and the Beast. Okay. All right, and no hesitation with this one. Bam! Lady and the Tramp remake is still the worst remake I have seen so far. I am so angry with this one. The plot doesn't work. They completely flip the motivations of these characters and they talk at the wrong moments. I like Lady literally says to her, literally says out loud, I'll wake up the owners. You don't need dialogue for that. I Just let your actions speak for themselves. And on top of that, Tramp, I the Tramp sees Lady getting taken away by the pound and does nothing. To the animated film's credit, he had no idea that he accidentally left Lady behind, but he deliberately leaves Lady behind. And on top of that, the humans prove that Tramp was right. When the baby moves in, the dog moves out. And she still maintains her loyalty to the humans, even though they kicked her out. And and then later they pick her up from the pound and try to get her acquainted with a baby. No, no, you've not earned that moment. You've not earned that moment. And on top of that, Lady sends a message to Tramp that she wants to see him, only to kick him out. Where are your motivations? Where are your motivations? And that rat does not look scary. It literally just it jumps out to attack Tramp for no reason. I Rats do not outright attack people or animals unless they feel threatened, and the rat didn't know that it was being threatened at first, and even in the animated movie it behaved like an actual rat, even though it doesn't look that much like a rat. It looked like a demon possessed rat. But oh man, was there anything I liked? Well, I like the design of it. I like that it looked fairy tale-ish. I do like that the dogs are not entirely CGI. I like that they used real dogs, so kudos for that. Though I think they used the wrong dog for Lady. I forget what kind of dog they could have gotten. I but yeah, it didn't look that pretty, and um I do like I do like um I do like Tony. He's got such an infectious smile that it that made me smile too. And Aunt Sarah's actually interesting. I do like her, and I like that she's very operatic or loves opera. But this is still Disney's worst remake, in my honest opinion. I and the fact that it also went to what do you call it? That it went straight to streaming is another sign that it was pretty bad. And this was before COVID, by the way. It was in 2019. So I'm beginning to think that that just went straight to streaming because Disney was not proud of this one. And okay, Lion King. Um okay, so I somewhat hesitate for this, but okay, I'm going to ask my friends who like the Lion King to please not hate me for this. Please. I think it's got great elements in it, and I think that the technology on there is amazing, top notch. I hope these animators got some great jobs out there. But with that being said, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Oh, where is it? But yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, at least it goes in front of Alice in Wonderland. Mm, yeah, in front. I, as better than Alice in Wonderland, and okay, let's put Lady and the Tramp behind the Looking Glass because that one's the absolute worst. Okay, so The Lion King, I'll put as better than Alice in Wonderland. So I hope you're happy with me on that, but I don't think it's that good. I mean, I don't think it's great. I I think the technology is great, but where do I begin with the faults? It reminds me too much of the Gus Van Psycho remake, where absolutely nothing has changed, right? Or even little to nothing has changed, and um, the act. I mean, most of the actors are really good. However, the actor for Scar was too monotone. I don't like what he did. And this is a really good actor. I mean, he did great in 12 Years a Slave. What happened to his vocal performance? And why was it so monotoned? Everybody else sounds great for the most part. I and I'll give a pass to James Earl Jones because he probably was very tired, but at the same time, for lines like, is that a challenge? I mean, couldn't they have just reused some of his old recordings from the previous movie where he sounded a little more energetic? I but James Earl Jones was still a great moment in there, and and it was a joy to hear his voice again. Rest in peace, James Earl Jones. Rest in peace. And I love that they have the I I love that they had the what is it called? That the hyenas had a matriarch because I do remember from watching a lion versus hyena documentary called Eternal Enemies on National Geographic that the matriarch was always in charge of the hyena clans. And I love that they included that and that they made Shenzi legit scary. I And I do like the extension of the song "The Lion Sleeps Tonight." In fact, that's actually something I would act I would say is even better than what the original did because I love that Timon and Pumbaa were singing it in the original, but that song I just felt more alive with more animals joining in and singing "A wee moet, a wee moet, a wee moet," and so on. I could sing that song all day because that song's too perfect. But let's get back to it. I will never ever forgive the fact that they left off "Be Prepared." No, that they cut it because it sounds unpleasant the way they did it. The song is epic. It develops Scar's character, and you cut that just because it had references to the Nazis? Really? I mean, the point was to show that Scar is a bad guy, and much like the Nazis, he was ready to throw a coup. So, um, I I don't expect mountains to rise instantly or green smoke to come up. I mean, that doesn't have to happen. I could have Scar jump from rock to rock until he gets to the highest peak. I and I'm pretty sure that the actor could sing if he wanted to. I But the way they sang "Be Prepared" just sounded awful, boring, dull, and just had me so angry with it. I would never forgive that. Just like I don't forgive that Seth Rogen can't sing. I like he actually made Hakuna Matata painful to hear. I but I At least it does have effort done in it. Maybe I'll change my vote. I don't know. But for now, we'll just keep it in front of Alice in Wonderland for now. Um and we're going to switch roles on this one for now because we got Maleficent. Well, while deciding on that one, I'm going to be right back and get the power cord because the battery is dying a bit. So, um, excuse me for a moment. Okay, hope you didn't miss me for too long. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so Maleficent. This is a tricky one. I mean, I've heard people say that Maleficent did something that I personally wish remakes would do nowadays, and that is check out the story from another angle. But on the other hand, I never liked that it made the fairies look bad. I like below par stupid. Like they don't even know how to take care of a baby. I mean, everybody knows you don't give a baby's carrots. I and I mean, but I like some of the ideas in this movie. I don't think it's the best, and on top of that, why did Maleficent turn herself into a dragon, but only the crow? And um also this I mean the true love story, I not being found in a prince, came out literally a year before this movie did in Frozen, and I showed true love from another angle. So when this movie did it, it just felt very tagged. It didn't feel natural anymore. So, but I also will say that Angelina Jolie actually does make a good Maleficent. I mean, if I had to, if you did ask me who would I pick to be Maleficent, I definitely would say Angelina Jolie. So, where to put this one? Um, uh, um, I'll just put it a little bit in front of Alice in Wonderland. It's good. I mean, it's not that great. It's mediocre. And what they did with the fairies and the climax, and on top of that, giving King Stefan no redemptive arc. Like, what happened to the love between the two? You can't just write it off and say, they never loved each other. I You have to address that. I mean, the fact that they loved each other once and that King Stefan betrayed her, not just say that he went insane for no reason. You gotta give a reason. You can't just make him the instant bad guy. Heck, I mean, I don't like to suggest this, but why not make the fairies the bad guy? Like, or even better yet, no bad guy whatsoever. And speaking of bad guys, oh boy, Maleficent, Mistress of all evil. False advertising, first off. I mean, because we already addressed that she's not the Mistress of evil, she's just misunderstood. The Mistress of Misunderstood. And why do I put this behind Alice in Wonderland? Because oh my gosh, I this is Game of Thrones. This is basically tagging off this is a Disney Game of Thrones movie. Right during the time that Game of Thrones was going really bad. I Whereas the two queens versus each other, Maleficent is not the villain anymore, and good grief, I one of her battle dresses, I like it looks nasty. I the dress in that one just I looked nasty. I Okay, so sorry to do this to you guys. I I so let's I I where is it? Sorry. Yeah, this one. Like that I mean, on Angelina Jolie it looks appealing, but on Maleficent, that's an eyesore. I and I Let's just take it away. I But yeah, I this version raises too many questions, and I'm just done with the story overall. Like, why couldn't it have ended at the first movie? Like, that's where it should have ended. But no, it had to continue, and we have to get a third movie, of course. So, yeah, bad, very bad. Okay, Mulan. Hmm, I'm putting that behind Dumbo. I don't know. Do I put that behind? Do I put that behind Dumbo? little bit ahead of Dumbo. Okay, let's put that ahead of Dumbo because, to be fair, it looks colorful. It looks bright. I mean, and some of the characters actually are pretty well done. And I don't mind that Mushu's not in it. I mean, I love Mushu. I really do. But I also like the Phoenix. I mean, even if the Phoenix doesn't do much other than be Mulan's spirit guide, I do like that this remake tried to take itself seriously, and the martial arts in here are exceptional. Like, they look amazing. But this suffers from a couple major problems. First of all, you completely annihilated Mulan's reason for going in her father's place. I They make the reason for her trying to be better than what she already was. And that's the second thing. You made her too perfect and bland. Like, I right from the very start she's seen saving a kitten with these acrobatic moves. I Even as a kid, I what I one of the things that we loved about Mulan and connected with her is that she was traditional at first, but when something huge got in the way, I like the war and the fact that her father would die if he went, she she broke tradition in every conceivable way and tried to make sure that I her that her father was safe. So the reason that she goes to war, yes, it is I mean, in the remake, is partly so to protect her father, but um that gets lost in translation pretty quickly. They forget about that. And they have it just be her going to prove that she is even better. And the third thing that they did, they they make it seem like it was a bad thing that she hid herself, being a woman. One, um I don't know much about Chinese culture, but I'm pretty sure that if you were a woman going into battle and you were exposed, you would die for dishonoring your family. I and The second thing, we'll go throughout history through I with some of the women who disguised themselves during the war. I I can't I mean, I got to remember the name. I I fought in the Revolutionary War. Deborah Sampson. I in sev- I I Deborah Sampson fought in the Revolutionary War, and um she actually disguised herself as a woman, I mean, as a man under the name Robert Shurtliff. Shurtliff. I hope I'm saying it correct. Shurtliff. Um and She was a major part of the war, and nobody knew that she was a man. I mean, that she was a woman until later on, and she hid that to help her country that she loved, and she didn't do it to show off. I mean, heck, even Molly Pitcher, who was also in the Revolutionary War. I mean, she didn't disguise herself in that one, but she brought water to the soldiers. But when she saw that her husband was down, who was cleaning the cannons and loading them up, when she saw that her husband was wounded, she dropped her pitcher and cleaned the cannons herself. And nobody stopped her. I And with this Mulan, they're saying, "Oh, it was wrong of you to hide that you were a woman in the army. Shame on you." She did what she could in order to help her father, or she was supposed to do what she could to help her father, even if that meant hiding the fact that she's a woman. In order to save him and save her country ultimately. I Later on she used being a woman to her advantage, but here it's just so that they could get the feminist bonus points. And I am sick of that to this point. I you don't have a shortage of strong female leads. And I could say that also because I'm a woman. I but yeah, you don't have a shortage of female leads being awesome and raising a sword. And I I just let Mulan breathe as a character, or heck, copy the original legend. I You looked like you were going down that path at first, but um I at least in production, but then you were held back. Like, why? I mean, Mulan's a fascinating character and a fascinating legend. Why not uphold that legend? I Okay, so ranked Mulan, Jungle Book. Yeah, you're going up to my favorite. Okay, so I I know a lot of people don't like the remake of the Jungle Book, but I love this one. I didn't expect to love it, but you know what? I love it. And shockingly, I actually like it better than the original. I The main reason is because it had more of a plot. I mean, or the remake had more of a plot, and the the original classic, I mean, it's very charming. It's very charming in its own way, but let's be honest, there's not really much of a plot going on. Just Mowgli wandering around from character to character, song to song until he goes to the next character, and then ultimately going to the man village after confronting Scar. No, not Scar. Shere Khan. Sorry. I I don't know how I get those two mixed up. But yeah, I mean, what this remake did right was actually let the characters breathe in the jungle and let the story live. And on top of that, it actually combined elements from both the original book and the original movie. And I like that it did that. And it did it in a way where kids could look at both and maybe even say to themselves, I wonder if the book is like this, and grab the book off the shelf. I still need to read the original book, the Rudyard Kipling book, but I have it at home. It's on my shelf. Um, yeah, this is a really good movie, and I those effects. I I'm glad that these effects got an Oscar, and frankly, I think that these are better than The Lion King. I mean, The Lion King had a lot of great moments, but I the effects for the animals and the backgrounds, the forests, well, the jungle, I should say, all look like they're really there. And Neil Seti looks like he's actually interacting with those animals, even though obviously they're not really there. There's even a moment where he is running his fingers through his wolf's mother's fur, and he really looks like he's um saying goodbye to her. It is amazing. And the voice cast is every bit as great. Everybody is fascinating in there and wonderful. I You can feel the life from each of these voice actors. Like there's not one bad voice actor in there. I Neil Seti's acting can be okay. But he's a kid and he's acting alongside nothing, and he's given the task of believing that they're there, and that's a tall order for a kid, but he pulls it off really good. So kudos to him. And yeah, I love what this movie does, and it also takes a few angles. I mean, takes the story at different angles. Like instead of Kaw begging Mowgli to go to sleep in order for him to eat Mowgli, Mowgli, I mean, Kaw hypnotizes Mowgli with showing him the past, and then gets ready to eat him. That is terrifying. That's almost sireny. I And Ben Kingsley as Bagheera is just perfect. He's so upper class and dignified. I love him for that. And Bill Murray is very laid back as Baloo, and I like that. And King Louie, he's so much fun. I and I will be fair and say that King Louis did do something that the original Jungle Book did, which was pay homage to the voice actors in there because King Louis in the animated movie was played by Louis Prima, a very talented artist, and even showed off some of his traits. And the remake, it went out of its way to also do that with Christopher Walken as as the as King Louis. And one of my favorite ways that they paid tribute in that way was having Mowgli pick up this random cowbell and ring it. So I could have used a little more cowbell in that. I, or should I really say, I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. Okay, so let's go back to the remakes. Okay, what's next? The Little Mermaid. Um, okay, so down to our last three. And I will say first of all that I did not mind I the race swapping on Ariel because I on the one hand, I mean, I get that in the original Anderson book it did say that she was clear skinned, but I dismissed it being taken literally because well, I think that I mean, for one, I'm more forgiving of race swapping in fairy tales than I am in history. So Anne Boleyn 2021 is not getting off easy. I for me, especially since they changed so many historical elements, not just with the actress. I so but that's another time. So I didn't mind that they got Halle Bailey to be Ariel. I The only things that were in the front of my mind when I heard about Halle Bailey being cast is can she act? Can she sing? And her acting's pretty good. I mean, before then I was not sure which one she was. I mean, I tried looking for clips of her acting, but I couldn't tell which one was her. So I had to wait. But I looked up a clip of her singing Unforgettable and I was like, that's Ariel. That's Ariel. I so yeah, I was excited for this. I I was not excited at first to hear I about the casting for the Sea Witch, um, which was why do I keep forgetting? Um, I Here, let's look it up real quick. Okay, so Melissa McCarthy. I was not excited about her getting cast because, well, Ghostbusters 2016 was awful, and she was one of the obnoxious characters in there, and seemed to have a habit of playing obnoxious characters. So I'm like, you're going to expect me to believe that this actress who constantly plays obnoxious characters is going to be this diabolical mastermind looking for vengeance? Yeah, right. But I ended up eating my words on that one. I mean, if you want to see how, I'll leave a link there. So yeah, and also the guy they got to play Eric was perfect. I mean, he looked like Eric, and they gave him a little more of a personality, and I did like that. He and Ariel actually do connect over similar situations. They both love exploring, and they show that. And on top of that, there's time dedicated. I mean, there's time shown dedicated to them getting to know each other better. I mean, I love what they do in the original animated movie, but I wanted more time with them. I wanted to see more time with them, and let's be honest, Eric wasn't really that interesting. I mean, he was more interesting than Prince yawns his face in Cinderella, and a little more interesting than Prince Philip. But I he just seems like arm candy for Ariel. And I'll be honest, I didn't think he was that attractive, especially compared to Aladdin. But That's my honest opinion. I Did you think he was I that he was very hunky dory or very hunky, I should say. um and I but I did find issues with it. Like, I did not like the design on Flounder at all. I mean, I get that he's supposed to look realistic, but come on. That just doesn't look right. You've got so many options of tropical fish, a that look a much more gorgeous than that. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna I'm gonna share the screen on that. I so let's see. I You've got a whole variety of fish that you could look at and pick out. Look at them. Like, look at these gorgeous fish. I mean, yeah, I know you cannot pick out this one because that's literally Dory, according to Pixar, and you can't pick out Nemo. But you got all kinds of fish. I mean, the ocean's not devoid of very pretty fish. Heck, I'm pretty sure that there are ones with that are yellow with blue stripes. In fact, let's look for the aha. Here we've got a few. I Why couldn't we get these kinds of fish? These are closer to flounder than the other one is. I mean, look at them. Like, why couldn't we get that? Why couldn't we get a butterfly fish? And well, I guess I stop that for now. So, I and Sebastian, I kind of forgive because, well, let's be fair. How are you going to make a crab that looks like him actually look great or look realistic or even not nightmarish? I So what's another thing that I did not like? Some of the changes because Disney was too scared to offend. Let's see, "Kiss the Girl" um, lyrics. I Yeah. Um, that was another thing I did not like in the I in the remake. Um, so most of us know what the original lyrics were. So the original lyrics were for the second verse. "Yes, you want her. Look at her, you know you do. Possible she wants you to. There is one There is one way to ask her. It don't take a word, not a single word. Go on and kiss the girl." I And apparently the movie found offense in that. And um and then put in this verse. I Or replaced it with this verse. "Yes, you want her. Look at her, you know you do. Possible she wants you to. Use your words, boy, and ask her. If the time is right and the time is tonight, go on and kiss the girl." So why do I not like that change? First of all, in the original, Eric was not forcing himself on her. She was clearly wanting him. She clearly wanted Eric to kiss her, and even in the remake, she clearly wants Eric to kiss her. I In this case, she's not aware of the time clock against her, but she's fully in love with Eric. And also, Sebastian in both versions is coaxing Prince Eric to try and to kiss her now. Like, he's not. I mean, so that line, when I so that line, I if the time is right and the time is tonight, um, is pretty hypocritical. And I think that even Howard Ashman would say that because he had a way of making his lyrics perfect. He was very much strongly into perfection. And if you messed with one thing that he did, he pretty much would I let you know it during the time that he was alive. And I think he would have done the same for this. I and also Javier Bardem as King Triton is easily the worst performance in this movie. I mean, he could carry the part of being a king very well, but his voice acting and his monotone is, oh no, 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 no. I really bad acting. So that part, I that was a pretty bad part. And on top of that, I felt no connection between him and Ariel. I did feel a bit of a more connection in the original movie, but I felt a stronger connection between Ariel and Triton in the Broadway movie. No, in the Broadway version, um, than I did either of the movies. So fail on that. I for I especially for the remake, and also I did not address this before, but I didn't think I needed to. Um, why couldn't they give Ariel more dresses? I mean, I talked about Cinderella being bright and colorful and how many dresses I could look at all day. They give Ariel two dresses. I mean, in the original movie, they give her three dresses. Well, no, no, four dresses. They give her the blue one. They give her the pink one. I don't know. They give her the pink one. They give her the blue one. They give her the one the purple sparkling one that she comes out of the water with, and then they give her the wedding dress. And they just give her the a plain blue dress that is very pretty, but almost looks middle class ish instead of high royalty. And that pink dress looks very faded. And are you trying to say that that's a wedding dress? Because one, where's the veil? And two, really? Why couldn't we have a brighter pink? Like, make it bright and colorful. I don't be afraid of showing us colors or our eyes being sore from it. We want bright colors. And on top of that, the ocean is bright and colorful I mean in some areas under the sun. It's true that it's dark in some areas, but why couldn't we get a bright and colorful ocean where it would be appropriate instead of faded and shadowy? I mean, but otherwise, I do love every moment that Halle Bailey and Melissa McCarthy are on screen, and I love the chemistry between her and the prince. And don't get me started on Part of Your World. Oh my gosh, she sounds amazing. Seriously, sounds amazing. So, where do I put this? I'm actually going to put it behind Aladdin because I actually like this one. I think it's a good movie. I mean, I think it made a few major flaws that Howard Ashman would not be proud of. But at the same time, I do think that Howard Ashman would appreciate a few other items in this. And, well, Jodie Benson backed it up 100% and was very sweet. And heck, made a cameo. That already puts it high on the list. So now we're down to our final two. Okay, Pinocchio. Um, the actual remake that won the Razzie Award. Um, so this came out during, this came out in 2022 when three Pinocchio adaptations came out. This one, the one with Pauly Shore, and the amazing Gilmore del Toro version. If you've not seen that version, you have to look that one up. It's phenomenal. Yet the Robert Zemeckis one won the Razzie and not Pauly Shore. Pauly Shore's was awful. The voice acting was so bad. I Father, when can I leave to be on my own? When I imitated that to my older sister, she's like, "Oh great, we got another Tommy Wiseau." So, focusing on this one, do I think it deserved that Razzie? No. I think the one that I still think that the one that deserved the Razzie had it come to theaters was Lady and the Tramp. that very much deserved a Razzie in every way, and Pauly Shore should have gotten that Razzie for his Pinocchio because the motivations, the dialogue, I mean, well, I won't bash the animation because it looks okay. But yeah, the dialogue and everything about it. Oh man, no, 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 no. Okay, this Pinocchio. Um, at first it looks like it's going to be a shot for shot remake of the original, but then it adds a lot of confusing elements in there. Like, I mean, I didn't get too confused about the clocks plot point, where Geppetto will not sell one clock because his wife was fond of them and he wants to keep his memories of her alive and just won't let her go. And he's also lost a son as well. And Pinocchio is a reminder of his lost son, which I think is a beautiful concept in its own way. And clearly, Tom Hanks cannot pull an Italian accent or even a fake Italian accent, but he's just too delightful. I don't know what it is about him, but the way he talks, I the way he emphasizes himself, the way he thinks out um what he's gonna do or what he's gonna name his new puppet, just all of it's too charming in my opinion. I mean, he's giving it his best, and he has to act alongside all blue screen. And I think he was the best part of the entire movie. I the kid playing Pinocchio, I will say, it is said that he did watch the original, tried to get that voice down. Because I mean, and he's British, so kudos to him for that. I He tried to get that American boy accent. I So kudos that he worked so hard for that role. And I what else did I like? I like that at one point Pinocchio does take a moment to consider whether or not he's going to go to Pleasure Island. And the fact that he does take 1 minute is a lot more than what I saw in both The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast. Because when they came up with decisions, it felt phoned in. Like, okay, I'm going to immediately do this. Because the plot calls for me to do it. Whereas Pinocchio looked like he was being thoughtful for a moment. I also like that he does try to go to school, and when he gets thrown out, um, the fox is like, "Ah, can you believe that? I This is all the more reason why you should become an actor." But yeah, I do agree. This movie has tons of problems. Like, I am very upset that they did not use an actual puppet for when Pinocchio is is not alive yet, because that's something that the 1992 Adventures of Pinocchio did. They used an actual marionette I for both when the for both when Pinocchio was a puppet and also for when he comes to life. And it still looks impressive to this day. People call it creepy, but I call it impressive, especially since they got Jim Henson's company to be involved. Why couldn't they get Jim Henson's company to be involved with this movie? Why, Disney? I It just makes you look cheap when you do that. And you seriously could not get a real cat or a real goldfish. Maybe I could forgive the goldfish, but you couldn't get a real cat? Come on. I And on top of that, I mean, I have to agree with a lot of other people that um Pinocchio's already good. Like, what does he turn into a donkey for? Because he refuses to drink the quote unquote root beer. He refuses to smash any clocks. He refuses to do anything bad. So technically, he doesn't need a conscience at all. He's already good. He's already moral. And on top of that, it doesn't even explore the gray area about lying. Not really. Lying is what gets him out of trouble, even though um in the animated movie, it established to kids that lying gets you into worse trouble. So what are you trying to teach your kids technically? And I on top of that, I I get why you had to leave out drinking alcohol and cigarettes, but the point was to show the bad things in order to show what's right. I Sometimes you got to show the ugly parts of society in order to show what's right, or even let the audience decide what's right. You can't decide it for them if by making the character automatically good, and that's the movie's biggest problem, is that it makes Pinocchio already good and worthy of being a real boy, rather than actually letting him be tempted. I mean, letting him give in to one or two temptations in order for him to figure out, oh, this is not right. This is not right. Like, remember the scene where Lampwick turns into a donkey right before Pinocchio in the animated version? I still am not entirely sure how it works. I don't think it's just the beer, but Lampwick takes a swig of the beer and suddenly starts growing donkey ears, and then a tail pops out as well. And Pinocchio looks at this and like, I at first he's thinking, "What's in that beer?" and just pushes it aside, and then he throws out his cigar that he's smoking when he sees the tail, and starts to realize he's been bad and he has to and he's gonna turn into a donkey too unless he gets out. So Pinocchio doesn't do that in the live action version. So I don't like that he's already good in this one. I mean, I have a guilty pleasure and a soft spot for this movie, but yeah, the more I think about it, the morals are pretty backwards in this, and it's trying to show the kids what to do while I while not letting the character show what happens, what the consequences for their sins are. And you need to show that if you want to teach a good lesson to a kid. I I'll even backtrack a little bit and share that one of the ways, the first way that I learned to not cross the street without um without the go light or without mama holding me was I saw a dead squirrel that was flattened on on the road. I wanted to pick it up and bury it, but mama not only held me back, but she also made me look at it and say, that's what could happen to you if you try to run across the street without looking both ways. So, yeah, think about it. What would have happened if I did not learn that? I could have been, at worst, I could have been like that squirrel. But, I mean, maybe at best I would have learned in a different way, but Pinocchio doesn't need to learn a thing. And that's what's wrong with this movie. I I still have a soft spot for it and I do like it, but yeah, where to put it? Oh, this hurts. This hurts. This hurts. I don't think it's the worst. This is a good spot to park it. I I like this. I did like this movie, but yeah, gotta put it there. And then we'll go to the last one. Peter Pan and Wendy. So originally I gave it praise for a few things, but mainly because I saw a few things that I think few critics did. I For one, I like the idea of um a of this being Wendy's experience, and seeing from both Captain Hook and Tiger Lily what adulthood could be like for better and for worse. What kind of adult could she be if she if she kept up her attitude or kept up whatever she was doing, could she be like could she grow up to be as embittered as Captain Hook? Or could she be motherly slash warrior like Tiger Lily? I And there was also another scene that I thought was absolutely hilarious, and probably, and the one that I rewound the most. So, there's a scene where Peter Pan, so most of us know the scene where Peter Pan, imitates Captain Hook's voice, and and tells the other pirates, "Set Tiger Lily free, or I'll plunge my hook in you." And then when Captain Hook arrives, he outright he doesn't drop the voice imitation and instead says, "I am James Hook, captain of the Jolly Roger." And Hook is like, "That's impossible. If you are Hook, then what am I?" And he's like, "You are a codfish, only a codfish." And causing the other pirates to be like, "Have we been captured all this time by a codfish?" Until Peter eventually reveals that it's really him. I so what this version does is John and Michael are trapped on the rock, and they're going to be and they're going to drown, and why does Captain Hook I why is Captain Hook going to kill them? Because there should be no children in Neverland. And the pirates start chanting it out loud. "No children in Neverland! No children in Neverland! No children in Neverland!" And amidst that, somebody dressed, Peter Pan, who's dressed as a pirate, starts chanting out loud, "No one but children in Neverland! No one but children in Neverland!" And then the pirates starts saying it as well, going, "No one but children in Neverland! No one but children in Neverland!" It's just- and then Hook is like, "What are you guys doing? Who are you?" So yeah, that was actually the one scene that got me laughing the hardest. I But everything else, yeah, it's pretty boring when you think about it, and um, it does not it does not pay tribute to some of the things that Peter Pan has done, especially in either the animated movie or in the stage show where the father plays Captain Hook. In addition to playing the father, like that was always a key essential because it was kind of implying, this is how Wendy and the boys see their father. They see their father as this tyrant when in reality he's not a tyrant, and they grow to see the difference. But there's a complete difference in this one, and I really don't like the dynamic between Captain Hook and Peter Pan in this one. I mean, it just seems so petty and I mean, and just dull. And Captain Hook himself's pretty dull. I mean, he's intimidating in some areas, but I really don't like it. And Peter Pan is weak in this one. Like he barely does much. He's not even that cocky in this one. I and Peter Pan is supposed to be cocky. I This is the kid that cuts off Hook's hand, throws it to a crocodile. And even um I and pretty much eggs on the pirates because he hates grown-ups. Like absolutely hates them to a point where he'll actually kill the lost boys if they grow up. Yeah, that's in the book, by the way. It's mentioned briefly in the book that if the boys decide to grow up, he'll kill them. And there's no chemistry between him or Wendy. I And on top of that, I the same issue as Pinocchio. Girls, really? You need girls in this? I mean, I like girls being included, and I but it felt phoned in when girls went to Pleasure Island. I and it feels really phoned in that they're in Peter Pan and Wendy because I again I Peter Pan refers to girls being as too smart to leave their prams, but somehow boys leave their pram. I mean, well, boys potentially can leave their prams. So I was this to be inclusive because really I well actually it was, and it was just phoned in, very phoned in, especially how Wendy said it. I so yeah, this was not that good. This was not that bad compared to others, but it was pretty boring. I if I was ranking the Peter I mean if I was ranking Peter Pan's alone, I would put it slightly above Pan, debatably, partly because they actually did get a Native American actress in this one. I but on the other hand, I mean, and also they didn't have a chosen one story, but on the other hand, it's forgettable. So I'm gonna put it for mildly bad. I on this one for I mean right behind Maleficent, Mistress of all Misunderstanding, as I should call it from now on. And so I guess that's my rankings list. And by the way, for Alpha Lion Simba and Benjamin Sletcher, if I was to put the Kim Possible movie on here, which I technically would count, I would put it. I no, 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 sorry. Okay, I would. Gosh, I so Lady and the Tramp is my absolute worst. I would put it right between um Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass and Lady and the Tramp as as the worst. I would put it between those two. So, yeah, it was awful. I but yeah, I hope you guys I well, I hope you guys had fun with this. Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree with it? And well, I how do you feel about the Snow White remake? I will I plan to review it when I get the chance, but I will say that this is the first time I do not plan to see it in theaters. This time. But maybe next time. I'll wait for it to come on streaming to see how I feel about it officially. But if you've seen my blog about Rachel Zegler, you know how I feel about her obnoxious, bratty, and very arrogant soapboxing behavior. So, other than that, um, how did you guys feel about it? About these remakes? How do you feel about the upcoming Snow White remake? And should I see 102 Dalmatians, or is it not worth it? All right. Thank you for this time, and well, see you next time. This is Bonnie from Joy Unicycle saying, see you later.